What's up, bud? It's Rob. This is Apparel Success, and in this video right now, what I want to talk to you about is, should you use Alibaba to source your clothing for your clothing line? I'm going to talk to you about the pros and cons of using Alibaba. This is going to be a really good video. Here it is. This channel here is sponsored by my buds over at Design Crowd, and if you need designs made for your clothing brand, I highly recommend you check out Design Crowd. Design Crowd's a website that helps entrepreneurs crowdsource amazing designs from designers located all around the world, and for a special $100 VIP offer for Apparel Success viewers only, head over to www.designcrowd.com/apparel to learn more, or simply use the discount code APPAREL when you post a project on Design Crowd. All right, you best believe that when I first started up my clothing brand, K-Bud Apparel, that we considered using Alibaba like crazy. And that's because when we went online, we saw those really low costs for t-shirts, $1 for a t-shirt, and we're like, oh my God, we're totally gonna use Alibaba. The cost is just too low. We can't beat this anywhere else. And I wanna talk to you about why we didn't end up using Alibaba and why I suggest that you don't use Alibaba either, especially if you're a clothing brand starting up in North America, thinking about importing your clothing using Alibaba as wholesale. I want to talk about why that is. The first reason is that they generally have a very high minimum order quantity. This means that even if you can get each product for say $1 or $2, you're going to have to order a crap load of them in order to actually make the purchase with them. This means that you're going to end up with a high amount of inventory, and you're going to also end up spending just as much up front as you would if you were to buy, less locally to you. And I realize that, if you were to sell it all, you'd make more money if you went overseas than if you were to, not go overseas. But generally, if you're first starting up, if you haven't proven that you can sell that clothing yet and you're just trying to, get started, it's really not worth the risk of going overseas, ordering all that inventory for such a high price, and then being stuck with all that inventory when you can just order locally. And you don't necessarily want to start off with a lot of inventory anyway, so you can just start off locally. Even if the price per unit is higher, you can get away with a lower minimum order quantity, and you can really just test out the market a lot better that way, and there's a lot less risk. Which leads me to my next thing, which is that there's a much higher risk just dealing with Alibaba. You never really know who you're working with when you're going on that website. There's a much lower trust than if you were to walk into a local shop local to you and actually pick up the clothing from them, and you're able to actually, deal with them directly. And just the whole thing of it going overseas and dealing with people who speak another language, and I understand that, some people are okay with that. For us, we just couldn't fully trust the whole situation, and we thought it was a much smarter decision, a much lower risk situation to order it locally. Another huge factor why we didn't use Alibaba to source our clothing is because there are much, much longer delays on shipping times. And even if you are able to sell all of the products that you order from Alibaba, the next time you place that order, it may take, 30 days or 60 days to actually get those products to you. And when we do all of that locally, when we do it here, we're actually able to get our products made in like a week. So it's much, much quicker to get our products turned around, and we don't want to be waiting, 60 days to actually get our orders to arrive. And then if we find out that something's wrong or the order wasn't right, then we need to ship it back, and then that takes 30 days, and then they ship it back and it takes another 30 days, and it's just too long and too much of a process to deal with, especially if you're a small brand. And the last reason is because we were looking at importing and exporting laws, and we just didn't want to have to get involved in that whole process of importing and exporting for our clothing brand, especially when we're so small and we're just getting started, okay? So if we can avoid that, if we can avoid having to deal with all the complications of importing and exporting and just do it locally, that's what I recommend. Now, if there wasn't a healthy alternative to using Alibaba, then obviously I'd recommend using Alibaba. But I just find that for clothing brands, when you're just starting up, there's such a more obvious solution to getting your wholesale products for your clothing brand than going overseas and using Alibaba. And I think that's just finding a supplier local to you with a slightly higher, price per unit, but a much, much lower minimum order quantity, where you can work with them, you get to know them, you can get your products to you quickly, and everything just moves a lot smoother and is a lot more tailored to new brands that are just starting up, that don't want to take on that risk and want to just get started really quickly. Now, there are a couple situations where using Alibaba is totally okay, and I think that is where you've really proven the concept with your clothing brand and you're moving a lot of product, and that means that you're also okay with a higher minimum order quantity so that you can get that lower cost per unit. Because I think that if you're thriving and your clothing brand is truly selling like absolutely crazy, and you're on that upswing to, massive, massive success, then I think you want to start considering using Alibaba, doing this whole import and export thing to get your price per unit down. I also think it's totally cool to use Alibaba if your product if you're looking for something really, really custom with your product. And this means, if you're looking for something that you just can't find locally, you have to go overseas, and the only place to find it is using Alibaba, then I totally think that's cool. Otherwise, I just think, like, in general, it's cool if you decide to use them. It's just my recommendation. What I say here isn't absolute truth, but it's just based on my own experience and dealing with what we went through, and I'm so happy that I made the decision that I did, okay? So that's my recommendation when it comes to using Alibaba or not using Alibaba. Let me know what you think of this video in the comments below, and if you haven't already, check out my free clothing brand marketing masterclass video, okay? It's 100% free to watch. All you have to do to get access is go to www.apparelsuccess.com/masterclass. You can watch the whole thing for free, and if you've made it to this point in the video, I want to let you know about the closed Facebook group that we have going on for Apparel Success. There's a link in the description below. We're a bunch of clothing brand owners all in there to support each other and answer each other's questions. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.